Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the chair and to the body for bringing up my bill, the Wounded Knee Massacre Memorial and Sacred Site Act, this afternoon. This is the greatest country in the history of the world. And when you're a country that's that great, it is important that you acknowledge your failures and that you try to do better in the future. As has been said, in December 1890, Chief Spotted Elk and his band of Lakota, which largely consisted of women and children, were headed from the Cheyenne River Indian Reservation to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. While they were en route, they were stopped by the Army's 7th Cavalry, and they were forced to make camp at Wounded Knee Creek. It was the next morning, December 29th, 1890, that the 7th Cavalry began to disarm the Lakota. There was a struggle. A shot ran out. And before people realized it, there were hundreds of Lakota being massacred, the majority of which, the overwhelming majority of which, were non-combatants, women and children. On the 100th anniversary of Wounded Knee, this body made a formal apology and expressed deep regret for what had happened that day. Another important step forward was in October of 2022 when the Oglala Sioux Tribe and the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe jointly purchased that 40 acres that is the site of the 1890 massacre. So this bill very simply places those 40 acres into restricted fee status, which is in essence putting it into trust. My bill ensures that those two tribes working together can protect this land as sacred without any commercial development, and they can retain their sovereignty to manage that land appropriately. It was last Congress that I told you all about my trip to the massacre site in June of 2023. It was there I spoke at length to an older gentleman whose grandmother had survived the massacre that day. He, with his own ears, had heard the oral history of the terrible tragedy that occurred that day. I then went and visited St. John's Church, where the Lakota had taken their wounded to treat their injuries. Their blood, the blood of the survivors, stained the floorboards in the church that day. And the wounds of that dark day remain present to this day, and this land is sacred. And I do think this action, this cooperation between the two tribes and our federal government will make sure that we do right as much as we can in the wake of that tragedy. And so, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the Wounded Knee descendants. I want to thank Oglala Sioux Tribal Chairman Frank Starrs comes out, Cheyenne River Sioux Tribal Chairman Ryman LeBeau for their teamwork in advancing this legislation. Last Congress, this bill passed unanimously out of this body. And I would just ask my colleagues to again vote for H.R. 165, the Wounded Knee Massacre Memorial and Sacred Site Act, so that we can provide the Oglala and the Cheyenne River tribes the authority they need to protect this land. And with that, I would yield back.